what people have to understand. And I get what she's saying. It's like, again, the only way that we're ever going to know the true reasons, and it sounds like, Jeremy, you kind of got somewhat of some answers. It's like you said, it's sustainable to
Yeah.
do it for so long. And she's only been doing it for 3 years. I've been a pro for 12 years, and it's tough.
Mm-hmm.
It's super tough. So again, at the end of the day, we all got to sit back and say, why do these athletes, and I know my reason why, because I have a family and I have things that I want to see my daughter accomplish. I have things I want to see I want them to be better than me. And they're not going to be better than me by me sacrificing my time in the gym and the things that I need to accomplish, and that's being selfish as a parent when I've already played in the NFL. I've ran professional track, and I do all these things and missing out on this time with them. I just, at the end of the day, some people's values and morals are different than others at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a comment from a man, Damon J. He says this. He says, any idea from anyone who think will either who will enter into the Chicago Pro in women's bodybuilding, other than Tina? Like, who do you think could possibly join the list, compete at Chicago in 2 weeks? My man Raheem says, I'm coming on soon. So you want to come on soon, brother? You already know. The
I can't
list.
think of anybody. I can't
I
think of
think
anybody else.
I think maybe I've seen her training. Maybe is talked about earlier. Hunter Henson might be because she took second last year.
Yep.
Uh,
And she
I,
won the Titan show. She beat Tina at Titan.
and then maybe I don't know if she will do it. Maybe Christina Mendoza, but I think she's going to focus on the Tampa.
Yeah.
That be because she won Chicago before, and she might try to go back for a title. Now this year that you don't have to worry about Michaela Aycock. That's one person that's also she hung up her posing suit, and I felt like Michaela, she doesn't post a lot of her workout videos like she used to. She's posting like her stuff when she was mostly working on the farm and
Right.
stuff with her family and the with the
But now,
cows.
has she officially announced her retirement?
Well,
Michaela did?
well,
I thought she did.
I think she did.
Yeah.
Okay, I just didn't hear it.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe think maybe right now she's maybe on that hovering stage. And remember a few years ago when her friend Dallas, your friend too, when he
Yeah.
killed himself, she took a step back for a year or so,
Yep.
and then she came back I think a couple of years later, and that's when she switched from physique to women's bodybuilding.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
um,
I
I
haven't
think
heard of I haven't heard of anybody else commit to this as far
well,
as women's bodybuilding.
for women's physique, Anne Lorraine Moon has announced. No, who commit? Well, I
Wait,
for Chicago.
I thought Anne has retired.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You were saying, oh yeah, you talk about Chicago. I'm sorry, I thought retirement. I don't know either. Raleigh's keeping it close to the chest. You
Well,
Yeah.
know,
again, the list doesn't come out from what we were told. The list doesn't come out till next Monday.
yeah,
Yeah.
next
So the
Sunday.
It
list just
comes out early.
because
Yeah.
I just did all my paperwork Friday or Saturday. So it does. The list doesn't come out till, and it's going to be a great show. It's going to be because I have actually a competitor, Margie, who is close to 60 doing the Miss International. She looks phenomenal in bodybuilding. And I told her she needs to go into, she was a women's figure, then she changed to women's physique. But yeah, she's bringing the heat when it comes to women's bodybuilding. So, and they're
Yeah.
in their classes. So, I told her, I said, and then Tina looked at her and says, well, then we could be competing on stage the next day. Because if you turn pro, you can compete on
Right.
women's bodybuilding the next day. So,
Mm-hmm.
again, I think, it's one of those things where I don't know about this show as far as the women are concerned because and you're right, George. I think Christina would probably do Tampa because I think her boyfriend Joey will probably do the because he's an open competitor would probably do the Tampa and they would do that together. But I just it's been crickets, and I know Tina gets a little mad at me when I announce. I said, but I said, Tina, you've seen pictures of her, Jory. Ain't nothing changing. She's just getting harder and
Mm-hmm.
better, as she goes along.
Yeah.
And, she's ready, and, this is her, coming out party from when she won the Miss International 5 years ago. And so she's excited. So, again, at the end of the day, like I said, you can't troll. I mean, and see who's competing. You just show up and be your best, and
Right.
that's all you can do.
Yeah.
And
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
Also get my man David J says, this says, I think Hunter Henderson is doing Tampa. I think
Yeah.
I would say Chicago would be a better bet. But if you're not in the way, then that team is the way to get to the Olympia.
Right.
Like
There's
most. Go ahead.
the one thing that's intriguing to me is what's just happened within the last month is with IFBB Pro Austin Carr coming up clear out of nowhere and saying, hey, I'm interested in adding pro women's bodybuilding to my lineup for my show in November, which is the Steve Carr Las Vegas Classic. He said, if I get 5 women to compete, if I get 5 women to commit, then I'll add it.
Wow.
Apparently he got the 5, Chelsea Dion being one of them, because he's now officially added it
Well,
to
think
the
about
to
it.
the to the
You got
lineup. But here's
Chelsea, you
but
got
here's this
Chelsea,
but
Hunter
here's
Henderson, and Christina, all in Vegas.
right, and that's what I brought that up to Linda Murray and Isabel Tabarrell on their show on Olympia TV, and Chelsea was a guest, and she said, sign. She responded to us and said, if you make this happen, sign me up.
That's awesome.
So she's already in. Andrea Shaw is now going to be the guest poser for the show for the NPC, but also I talked to Brittany Parrish, who I interviewed yesterday, and because she was the thing that's going to be interesting is how that show affects Romania because they're the same weekend, both the
Well,
Steve Carr show and Romania. But now it's like how many stateside competitors who otherwise have not made any commitments yet would rather go to a stateside show because this is also now a Miss Olympia qualifier for 2026.
Yeah.
So it's like this is like he's also got for videography. I think he's got Gilco Productions, Mitchell Gilbert. He's got a live stream now with Center Podium TV. So it's like this show is growing. And it's
Yeah.
like that's what's so intriguing to me because Brittany Parrish was originally going to go to Romania, but then I DM'd her directly and I said, "Hey, are you aware of this alternative?" And she changed her mind. So she's going to be making her pro debut at the Steve Carr show
well, I can
rather
tell
No.
you,
than the Romania show.
I can
So
tell
it's
you
like,
one thing for sure. If Tina does not win the Chicago, she will be doing Vegas. I can tell
And
you
okay,
that.
also, sick advocate. That's also the Grand Prix. That's in September. The
Yep,
Grand Prix. That's in
the
September. I
Titan.
know. Yeah, I know a lady who I interviewed a while back, Leslie or Wirester. She's gonna make her pro debut. She announced it. She said, "George, I'm not saying anything else till I announce it officially." Because she announces that's going to be her pro debut. She's in Arizona, and that's the great show. I think I was talking to a couple of ladies. And I said, "Hey, you heard about the show? We might have more than 5." I think the thing with the remaining most of I hope it doesn't hurt it too bad. I think you'll see maybe mostly a lot of European competitors because rarely
right.
ever see other maybe like I think Mela she's done the remaining most a couple of
Boswell.
times. Boswell. I think with Shauna, she's going to do the Masters Olympia. So, and I don't think she might try to do another show. She'll get qualification, but she's returning champ. This I even reached out to Austin. I hope maybe try to interview. He hasn't seen anything up with me yet. I've seen. Um, uh, I know. I remember that Brittany was going to do Texas, but then they dropped it from the lineup. And
Hmm.
I think also I think I heard that Melissa Tite's going to do Chicago.
Okay. I mean
Yeah.
that she's been now. Would this be a pro debut for her, or has she already made her pro
No,
debut?
no, she no Melissa Tite. She's been a 2-time Olympian,
Oh,
both in
duh.
women's physique.
Okay.
She did Chicago back in 2023, and then she also got invited to the Rising Phoenix, and she took a break last year. She was going to do Texas, but you know what happened with that. And now she's saying she for Chicago. I was talking to Romana Scottson. She was saying she was going to do her. She actually did Imperial. Romana was going to do Portugal, but she changed her mind. She was planning to do Chicago, but I think she because the cost of traveling from the UK to Chicago might be expensive because last year she did Chicago and Atlanta that year. So She might take a break this year and work on a few things. She hadn't said what else she's going to do. As for Ben Damon J, he says this. He says, uh, "Can't wait to see Brittany Paris. Super excited to see her compete." We got some people here. We got my man KL. He came back, and also we had here Raheem Hamilton. He came to see the crime. What? What you got to say, son?
What's
It better
going
have
on?
something to do with bears.
Nah, it has
Y'all
nothing to do
getting
with
corny
beer.
with that, man. Oh, Jesus, man.
Be
Leave
quiet.
that alone.
Nah,
Be quiet.
I've
Be
been
quiet.
busy.
What,
I've
what,
been
hold on,
busy.
hold on, hold on. I built this shit. Me.
I don't care what you
I
built.
built this
God
damn
damn
thing.
it. Y'all keep
Man.
saying the same goddamn thing, man.
Look, Rocky, get out.
I've
Go ahead,
been
Rocky.
I've been busy. I've been busy preparing for a wedding next month, so that's what I've been doing.
Congratulations.
Man, congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you, thank you.
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun.
Nah, somebody say she wants to.
Wrong song, George.
Oh, I'm
Hey,
sorry.
Jeez.
hey, when
Actually, you
you were
play it
talking about,
backwards.
the girl that his girl, and you said a show in the fall, that may be something that she may be doing.
Yeah, because that's after the Olympia. We'll go ahead, Raheem. Got you.
Oh, I'm just discuss about the topics. The retirement. Not the reason. I want to go off of what I was saying to Keith. The reason I say that it's going out your terms is an issue is because as you look at today with the athletes today, you don't know when you want to go out because everybody's saying, "Oh, longevity, longevity." Like we talk about LeBron James. And that before it was, "Oh, I got to chase the rings." Then it was, "Oh, rings don't mean anything," because he realized he can't get to that level of Kobe and Jordan because at 40 going on 41, he only got four. So it's like you wishy washy, and then now it's just about just getting paid. So as athletes today, the fans are going to be like okay, so when are you gonna retire? Because it's like you accomplished all this stuff, but it's like at the end of the day, why are you still here? Because if like LeBron said, if you're telling the fans that it's not about the rings and I don't need to compete no more, there's nothing to prove, then the question of the day is why are you still here?
Raheem, do
Like I
you
said
not watch
again,
ESP? Raheem, do you not watch ESPN?
do I watch
LeBron needs to
ESPN?
go.
Yeah.
No, ESPN not since the great Stuart Scott passed away. No, that's true
Well, here's the
journalism,
thing
true
that you have to
sports.
understand. The thing with Luca and LeBron right now, because he had an option year of $56 million. LeBron wants to win another championship, so that's why the talks are going on with New York Knicks and other teams where he can win another championship. So
Well, Keith,
LeBron
have
wants
you
to win
been
another
watching Mind the Game? Did you
what?
watch Mind the Game? Did you watch the Mind the Game when he was talking about this ring culture and everything? If you're so serious about winning a champion, why would you want to bring a ring culture? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. It's like he's wishy washy. But what I'm trying to say the in general is that retirement in the sport, it should happen. But yeah, you're right. It should happen on your own term. But I'm talking about today's time. It's like we're going past 40 because everybody did. Tom Brady did over 40. LeBron is doing over 40. So it's going to be like that in all sports. So then the fans going to be like, okay, longevity sounds great, but why are you here? What did you accomplish? You didn't accomplish a win in a championship. You didn't accomplish Olympia gold or Mr. or Mrs. Olympia, but why are you still here at 45, 46? So it's not like athletes in the past couldn't do it because they were. So it's like, what are you accomplishing now? We get the
Like,
longevity. You could do it past 40. We get that.
like a good example of that. Like, remember Joe Louis? He came out of retirement to fight Rocky Marciano. He was 45. Then he got beat. Rocky he was like 50. But kind of pull it from Come to America. That's the thing about athletes. Sometimes you take that step away from a minute. And like my man Keith said earlier, when you watch the Rocky movies, where you want to see one more try. Remember, Jimmy Connors did that years ago. 20 years ago, he came back and he kind of just had a second win. The late George Foreman, he did it, and he hadn't boxed for nearly over 10 years since he lost to Ali. he did have a couple more fights after Ali, but then that's the one everybody is more stuck on because that's the one with his biggest defeat. It's just like anything when you do this for passion, and then after a while, you see that you're not going nowhere with it. Like with Anna, she's been competing for at least about a good 6 or 7 years. Been a pro for a good 2 or 3. But then, I think she just felt like I'm doing this and not getting anything out of it. But again, there's some part of it is that you should have worked smarter, not harder. We got here from a man, Damien J. Shout to Damien says, Melissa Tyke, haven't seen her in a while. I know right now she turned off her social media, but she's back on it. Also, this is from a man, Damien J. says, Bear, I'm missing something here. What does Bears have to do with Raheem? Let me explain this story. While back, my man Raheem
Oh my
made a
God,
comment.
man.
He
Oh
made,
Jesus,
I'm going to mute you. Don't shut up.
why you gotta ask that question, man? Oh my God, man.
Hey,
Yeah, here we go right there. There we go. He's quiet. A while back, Raheem made a comment that his girl, Natalia Kobaleva, she trains with bears. And since then, that's been the running joke. Me, Keith, Jeremy, and so much as KL, because he's a wet blanket. We often pick on him on that. I sent a video to him. I think a video of him with some Russian bears. It's just some we just get fun to it. But like I said, my man here, KL, he's a wet blanket, so we forget about him. So you can come back and talk. So now you can say something.
you know what everybody's saying. You know what everybody is saying to you, Keith. Here,
yeah.
because they're saying, "Oh, well, you're old and you haven't done anything. You need to retire." They're basically saying to you, "For the love of God, quit." You ain't done nothing. Why are you still here?
Nothing.
I would never. I'm not saying general. I'm not saying general peace, but it's just you know what it is. It's just that what here's the thing. I will never dispute that athlete can not go on past 40. There's true. There have been records of athletes playing up until 50. But you want to cement your legacy, You want to be like, okay, it's really more a legacy because when you have a fan base, you want that fan to still love you, like, you know what I'm saying? You want them to still cherish you because now again, um, your man 23, LeBron James, he's getting that go home heat. He's not getting that farewell tour. Like everybody said it. Had he retired in 2016 when he gave Cleveland that championship, then he'll be up in those conversations. But when you keep going, going, and going, and then people start seeing you as an athlete start declining, regardless if you're male or female, and they can start seeing you declining in the sport you're in. Oh, like in bodybuilding. Oh, this, Ronnie Coleman can't do that. Uh, turn the corner, left the side chest properly like he did back in his prime years, or he can't flex his back like he did in his prime years. So now the fans gonna be like, well, how long is this happening? Why is he still here? If he can't, if he's here over 40 longevity, but he's not doing what he used to do in his prime years. So now the fans gonna be like, okay, when he's gonna leave. So you kind of wanna to say to yourself, yeah, I can do it, but I want to preserve my legacy. So preserve my legacy would be like, okay, let me retire. Like I said, John Elway, he won back-to-back Super Bowl in 98, 99. If he wanted to, he could have came back and ran it again for 2000. But he said, no, I lost 4, but I won 2. That's good enough for me. Wayne Gretzky, when as a Ranger fan, we got him when he was done physically because I saw it when he came in '97. He was done. Wayne was done. Wayne should have retired when the Kings got rid of him because when the Kings got rid of him, that means there's nothing more left for him. So you gotta really want to go out on top. You want to say, I want to preserve my legacy and everything. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, athlete can go longer, but at the same time, is you want to preserve your legacy and you want to build that myth for your fan base.
So wait a
I
minute.
do agree
What
with you on
what
that LeBron James. He need to hang that jersey up already.
I think it depends. It depends though,
Wait a minute.
because
Here's the
sorry.
thing. He won a championship in Miami, won a championship in Cleveland, then won a championship in LA. What was it, 2 or 3 years ago? So I'm really
Yeah.
confused on what you're trying to say.
No,
Well,
I'm
that
saying,
that
what is
LA
there for him
the
to
LA
prove?
championship don't
Like
count.
he,
Now, is he the
what?
marquee player of the Lakers? No, because you have Luca, and Luca's much younger. But again, how many guys at the age of 40, whatever years of age, can drop 26 in an NBA game?
But what
LeBron.
is
Okay,
Okay,
what is there for
Keith,
him to
Well,
prove?
hold on
but
a
Keith,
second.
here's the problem. You could talk about the 23 points because remember, you're
26.
talking about scoring. Wait. This is my specialty. This is my specialty. You talk about scoring, but as you watch, but see, Keith, you're so in love with LeBron. You're not
I'm
looking
not
at
in
him
love.
that
I
he
don't
doesn't.
like LeBron actually, so you got me. That would be my son, but that's not me.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But the point I'm making is you're so infatuated with that, but you're not looking at he doesn't play defense. He doesn't run up the ball. He doesn't run up with his team when the opposing team has the ball. We're looking at stats, and anybody can do stats. That's KL can do stats, and KL may not be the best dribbler. He may not be the best scorer. It's not just about stats. It's about knowing to play the fundamental game. We could be here all day. I could bust down LeBron James all day to you, Keith, but I'm not going to do that. But the thing is,
Seeing my
you
son bust.
know,
Okay, go ahead.
no. But the point I'm making is you have a guy who's 40, about to be 41, and you already see his decline. You see that he's not running deep. LeBron will be the type of guy as he should come off the bench at 40. Remember, Robert Parrish did that too. His last years with the Chicago Bulls, he came off the bench and won a championship with them, and he
Yeah.
was over 40. So it's not like it hasn't happened before. Maybe for the generation, the Gen Zers, they never seen it, but people like you, George, Keith, the other two guys, we're, we're either Gen Xers or baby boomers. We seen and witnessed athletes who were over 40 still in the league. It has happened. So so this longevity stuff don't mean nothing to me because I've seen it before.
Well,
So
So
yeah,
hold on a second. It
go
depends.
ahead.
I'm going to say it depends on what you're talking about. As far as basketball, or I'm assuming that is what we're talking about. I don't know jack about basketball, but I'll give you an example from female bodybuilding where that's not necessarily true. Because in fact, coming out of retirement can improve your legacy. And
Yes.
there's a woman by the name of Juliet Bergman who did exactly that. And here's a woman in 2000, from 2000 to 2005, they announced weight classes in the pro ranks in women's bodybuilding. And they said, okay, well, now we're going to have a lightweight class in addition to a heavyweight class. When that happened, that got Juliet Bergman's attention because Juliet Bergman always was a lightweight. And she had been 12 years in competitive retirement. She decided to come out of retirement and get back into professional competition. First show that she won, 2001 Miss Olympia. She got herself an Olympia title, and then the next 2 years, when they had weight classes, she went head to head with none other than Linda Murray for the Miss Olympia title, 2002 and 2003. So Linda Murray, 2 of her 8 Olympia titles are against Juliet in the overall. That's pretty damn impressive to be able to come back and do that after you've been away from the competition stage for 12 years. That's pretty impressive. So it depends on the situation, depends on the person. Because that didn't, I mean, her coming out of retirement, that didn't harm her legacy, that improved it very
Same.
much.
And about the same thing with Linda, she came back after being gone for almost, good 5, 6 years, and she comes
Right, and
back.
she got what was it, 2002, 2003. What was the last one she got?
She came back 2002, got that won in
Mm-hmm.
2003, and Iris beat her in 2004.
but you see what your gentleman is talking about. Sorry to interrupt. Your gentleman is talking about people who actually retired. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about people who stayed over 10 years, over 25 years. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, well, you could be the comeback kid. That's a great story. What you're talking about, Julie Bergman and Linda Mary, they were retired and they had that itch to come back. That's a great story. It's a great comeback story. It's a great thing to be inspired by. But when you're still in the game for 20 years, 23 years, Fans is going to get tired. The only time you ever heard saying you only miss when you're gone. When you miss someone when they're gone, you appreciate them more. Then you get that. Okay, when Hogan left WWE and he went to WCW, and then when he came back in 2002 with the NWO and he faced The Rock in WrestleMania 18, did you hear that pop that they get? Remember, he was supposed to be the villain, but everybody at WrestleMania 18 was cheering for Hogan. You know why? Because he was gone for so long from WWE. You know what I'm saying? And he was the man who made WWE WWF what it was. And by him coming back in 2002, those people, those because they thought Hulkamania was dead, it was like, oh, it's really alive. So when you're going for that long, yes, you're going to get that. But I'm talking about, but when you stay in the game for so long, your fans is going to be like, I'm tired. LeBron been in for almost 23 years. People are
Yeah,
being like, I'm tired.
yeah.
Linda
I'm
Mary,
tired.
she stepped away. She stepped
I'm
away. No,
tired
she
of
stepped
seeing
away.
him.
She did the illest comeback. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with Julie Berman. She stepped away for 12 years, came back and won it. That's great. Like same thing with
You
George Foreman. That
you
was
gotta
great. That's a great story. You
okay.
can't. I'm not
One
knocking that.
person, if you talk about wrestling, one person I'm gonna mention is the Nature Boy. Woo! I grew up with Ric Flair, not so much with Hulk Hogan, but I grew up with Ric Flair. And Rick, he's going through some medical issues right now. Big fan. This man kept on going. He last time he wrestled was like 2 years ago, at 70 something years old. And most people were long since retired. And most of the guys, he either are buried in the grave or they're already their foot in the grave. And Rick came back for one more time, even though he was wrestling with his son-in-law because he was holding him up a bit. Rick went in there. He did his thing. He's always been the dirtiest player in the game. And and one of the I think most popular his like last night, me and my man Ken, we talked about a female wrestler by the name of Mildred Burke, and how there those few people like Jerry King Lawler, he took a step back because right now he has a stroke, he's doing all right better. Guys like Dusty Rhodes, he came back for a bit. Um, a lot of these wrestlers, um, they love the sport. This is what they know, but it's a sport that also kind of messed them up a bit. Handicap issues, using certain drugs to keep them going because they're doing it 24/7. Um, I know Triple H right back had to get heart valve surgery because of stuff he was using. I mean, that's the thing about is sports entertainment between actual sports. I mean, these were athletes. Got
Here's the
into it.
thing. Here's a question I have for you, Raheem. Would you walk away from $56 million?
Okay.
No,
Honestly,
answer the
yeah.
question.
No.
No,
Answer
yes,
the
yes,
question.
yeah. No, no,
That's a
no.
great
I'm gonna be honest.
question.
No, you
I'm
wouldn't.
answering the question. I'm answering the question. I'm answering the question. Yes, I would because here's the
No, you
thing.
wouldn't.
If I already no,
Are you
yes, I would.
serious
Yes,
right now? Are you serious
hold
No,
on.
right
hell no,
now?
hell no, hell
You
no.
let me explain. Let me
No,
explain
let me
why.
say this. If somebody offered me $65 million, put me on life support, strap my legs like Stone Cold Steve Austin with two pair of leg braces, I'm gonna keep going as long as I can.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Right? If you remember, you meant they'll say it's you said the same thing. You said be work smart, not hard. Right? If you have to invest smart in everything. So if I invest my money outside, say like I've been bodybuilding, right? I won every show in the past. I'll say 3 years. Let's say I was the top five in the past 3 years, and I make it because me, I know how to flip money. I know how to do. I know how to invest. I can say to myself, okay, I'm about to be married. I'm about to settle down. They offer me this type, like you say, keep that type of money. With the investment I made outside of bodybuilding, with the financial state that me and my fiance are in, where we saved up and everything, it's enough to live off of and everything. Or I make connections where I can make that outside without continuing to do the grind and the supplements and the dieting like crazy, because like you said, that does take a toll, regardless male or female, does take a toll on you. Yes, I can walk away from that money. Remember, Seinfeld was NBC offered Seinfeld a lot of money come back for season 10. He turned it down because he's like, look, I already got the residual from syndication. I have the top show on television. Let me ride off in the sunset. I could do stand up. When I do stand up comedy, my fee is going to be so high, I can live off of that.
So
So
you're telling
yeah,
me LeBron James, who's already a billionaire, he can walk away anytime he wants. And here's the
he
thing:
could.
and here's the thing: the Lakers' defense this year is probably the best I've ever seen play. Because I started watching NBA a long time ago because nobody fucking plays defense. And so this is the year when he got Luka and they played the best defense. They just didn't have a center. That's why they didn't do very well. And I don't
Because
even think that.
LeBron wants to be GM. Of course, he don't have a center. He got and me Keith. One day, me and you going. We're going to exchange telephone. We're going to talk about this all day because this is your
Yeah,
show. We're going to be on 2 hours because, like I said, let GM don't. He needs to let real GMs be GMs and him
absolutely,
just shut up and dribble the ball. That's it.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, here we got a
And
comment
his
from
sneakers. And let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, Keith. Do your kids rock LeBron James sneakers or they rock Jordans?
My son is a big LeBron fan, but we rock both. I probably have about 15 pairs of LeBrons, probably 200 pairs of J's.
Okay,
But
a
watch
lot of
but
people ain't rocking LeBron. So,
I watch
but we
felines and
talk
no
about that another time.
classics.
But we'll
Yeah.
talk about that another time. But
yeah,
the point I'm making is this: LeBron is doing it because, again, I'm gonna be honest with you. He messed up the bag. I'll tell you that later about that, Keith. But he messed up the bag because if you're a billionaire, if you're a so-called billionaire, why are you still playing? Why are you still
Money,
going?
Yeah.
more
No,
money.
you can make,
Here's
but no, but billionaire, but no. Here's the thing. Hear me out. If you're a billionaire outside, you see, you're a billionaire because you're working for somebody. You didn't. That means he didn't take that money for the past 22 years and invest and say, you know what, I'm gonna let my money work for me, not me work
are
for the
you
money.
shitting me right now? Are you
here we
Yeah, I'm
serious?
got
shitting
Yeah,
you.
but look
Yeah,
at
we got a
Kobe.
You
comment
Kobe
from
before
you clearly
Kobe.
don't
yeah.
know. You
Kobe's a
clearly
prime
don't
example of
understand.
that.
You clearly don't understand LeBron James' brand. You clearly don't understand who he is. It's like Jordan. Jordan didn't start off a billionaire. He negotiated his contracts and then walked away from Nike before his brand became his brand. Now
Keith, let me
Jordan
stop you there.
and
Let me stop you there. First of all, Jordan was playing with the most cheapest owner in sports. Okay, Jerry Reinsdorf. He owns the Chicago White Sox, which the MLB is trying to take it away from him, and he owned the Bull. When he was playing for Reinsdorf, Reinsdorf was not paying Jordan like he was supposed to. All his money came from endorsement. This is why I kept telling every athlete, do not try to hold your organization up for that money. You get your
Raheem,
money, you get the
Raheem,
majority of it from your from endorsements.
you're
That's
trying
how
to
you do
educate
it.
the wrong person. Because LeBron, we understand rookie deals in NBA. Even Cooper Flag this year, he will make more money if he would have stayed in college with Duke on his NAI deal that he does the NBA. LeBron made more money through Sprite, through Nike, in his endorsement deals, no shit, than he ever would in the NBA. We all know this. So I mean,
Yeah.
So I mean, we all know this. Why would you opt in for 52 million? You're 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? You're about to be 41. That's unheard of. Again,
But here
your whole fortune comes from endorsements, not trying to rob your organization. That's number one.
but
This
here
is why the collective bargain agreement is going to change. It's going to hurt future players because of what has transpired for the past almost 20 years. You get what I'm saying? Now it's going to hurt them more with the next bargain agreement.
well,
But going
here's the
back to
thing.
the retirement thing, yes, leave on top. I commend some of these athletes, the female bodybuilders, for making that decision. It's a tough decision, but I do commend them because, like you said, bodybuilding is a great sport, but unfortunately, bodybuilding doesn't have what the MLB, NFL, and also NBA have contracts. You get what I'm saying? You're right. Everyone's putting themselves through the grind, and it's like, okay, I'm putting more money in than it was coming out. I mean, putting more
yeah,
money out than what's
absolutely.
coming in. So yeah, it's a financial situation. So yeah, all that traveling, because like I said, when I first met a female bodybuilder, I went on a date with her, and she said, "Yeah, I got a pro card," and I said, "Oh, that's great." She said, "I still have to pay for this," and I scratched my head because I was contemplating that. I was like, maybe I should do it too. But when I heard that you still have to pay hotel fees and all this stuff, I'm like, it's not worth it. See, that right there scares future bodybuilders who want to be pro, because if you break it down to them, oh well, I have to pay for my pro card, I still, I have to do this, that, and third. That scares them away. It's not all about the performance enhancement and all that stuff. It's actually that. So you tell me, if I'm a pro, I still got to pay hotel fees, all this stuff, and da da da. So it's like, what's the purpose?
yeah. Here we got a
Raheem,
comment.
in your beautiful city that you live in now, Team Universe, I forgot. I mean, shit. Last year they had 600 bikini girls competing, just a bikini, at $300 a pop. So as you say, it scares these competitors away. Now you have team. Me and George is talking about it at Team Masters, at Team Collegiate and Master Nationals. The week of my show, they're giving away 150 pro cards, and that show is 4 days long. At $300 or maybe $350 an entry, and a lot of these people are crossover. Nobody's scared. Everybody's chasing after a dream, whether they
Mm,
understand the dream or not, because that's what me and George were talking about earlier. That they don't understand. It's like let's say Chicago Pro for example. I'll give you a prime example. So you have the Miss International there, which is the bodybuilding amateur show. So if you win the amateur show, you turn pro, and I did this with my wife. So she won Mrs. International. She was pissed off at me because I'm like, you're going to go into the pro show the next day. She's like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, you're doing it just to see where you're at, see how you can get against the big dogs. I think she was seventh or eighth or whatever. That was, but guess what? That was another $250 for the pro card. So again, the IFBB is not stupid, and a lot of things that these athletes don't understand or need to be educated on, and the NPC or the IFBB is not going to educate them on because then it hurts their pockets. Saying, I just paid $275, $281 for a pro card. Every year you got to pay, and it seems like it keeps going up every year. And then, wow, I just won this Miss International. It's great. Well, you want to compete in a pro show? I think so. Well, give me another 275 for a pro card. So it's not. And again, you have to understand in this whole realm of things, there's a lot of things that the IFBB and the NPC are not telling athletes that they don't know. That think these pro cards are just great. And I get what you're saying. NFLPA, I put in my time. I get a pension check every month in my bank account. I have an NFLPA card because I paid my union dues. That's why I get that. These athletes are, and I'm one of them now, are not getting paid shit. I'm paying into the system to hopefully get some money out of the system by winning an open or master class. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, here we got a
it,
comment from my man Damon J. I'm gonna say he says, I didn't know we were discussing wildlife documentaries. Are we talking about the grizzlies of the bodybuilding world? Not so much of that. Also, he says this. He says, I hope Natalia is not planning on bringing Bear to the gym. That would be real great way to be get kicked out. And also, one more from my man David J says, yeah, Raheem, I remembered that WrestleMania doing the match with The Rock and versus Hogan. It was a split pop between the two stars. Amazing moment in WWE history. Yeah, the watch wrestling much like it used to, but yeah. But that's the thing is, this sport, like any sport, be it bodybuilding, be it basketball, football, athletes, you have a passion for something, but then we realize the passion is waning. It could be anything from medical issues, financial issues, mental issues. You just feel like you want to take a step back. Some would go on top. Some I've seen fighters, like remember I remember B Hop got his last fight. He got knocked out of the ring. He said that white boy didn't knock me out, and that was his last fight. You know,
well, Jeremy says it. Jeremy said it best a long, many episodes ago. The NPC and the IFBB are always going to try to find a way to make their money. So that being said, if you're so we understand the open class, but now like I said, at teen and collegiate and master nationals are given 150 pro cards, 150. So you say, okay, most of these people, because I was there last year when Bruce, my client, turned pro in men's physique. He was in classic 18 men's physique. That was $700 for him in both of those classes. So we paid $700 for that, and then to turn around and get a pro card was another $275. Are you guys doing the math yet?
Mm-hmm.
that seems
So
about a
when
thousand
it comes
dollars.
to the master's classes, which keeps you, so it makes you not want to retire because, say for instance, I just did my entry for the Chicago Pro, which is, I just found out it's not an open in masters, it's just a master show. So you pay 281 for a pro card, each class, so you got 40 and over, 45, 50, 55, and 60. So you're gonna have guys competing in all those classes. Now I don't know how many men and women that there are, but each one of those classes are $250, 261 with the service fee. They're not stupid. They know how to throw the bait out there and sit there and say, so we're gonna give 150 pro cards, and most of these are going to be masters to keep these people coming back. We're just going to keep reeling them in and reeling them in and reeling them in. Well, they didn't have that back in the day. It was just open or not, right, Jeremy? It was just open.
Right. And to be perfectly blunt, no offense, Keys, but the IFBB Pro card meant something
Yeah,
back then
yeah,
because they did not hand them out like so much candy
yeah.
like they're doing today. I
Absolutely.
mean, it meant something back then to be an IFBB Pro because the opportunities to be able to gain one of those were very few and far between. That's the
Well,
thing, is that the harder it is to achieve something, the more it means. That's why the Heisman Trophy has the appeal that it does. Why? There's a total of one.
yeah.
There's a total of one of those. So if you get that, I mean, talk about a feather in your cap. And also, getting back to the question of legacy, I mean, that's one of the things that I think has got to happen is that, but you're absolutely right, Keith, it's pure money.
Yeah.
It's all about money. Same thing with divisional crossovers, which are ridiculous,
Well,
happening on the amateur level, because every one of those divisions you're joining is another fee.
and
And
and,
as
and
long
Except
Ronnie,
as
to
they're
for
answer
at,
your
Fit Model.
question, and to answer your question,
except for
Ronnie,
Fit Model, yeah.
Travis Kelsey said it best. He says they went to get their AFC championship rings. He goes, I don't give a shit about an AFC championship ring. All I care is about is Super Bowls. That's why he retired. Because they got their ass kicked so bad against Philly, they're like, let's run it back. Because I know we can do this again. And they're the kings of the AFC, clearly. But
Well,
he
your
said,
boy LeBron James was champagne and throwing popping bottles with the end season tournament trophy like it was an NBA championship. You need to talk to
yeah.
him.
Hey,
Talk to that boy.
but here's the thing. You know why he was doing that? Because that was because they were in a contract year with the networks. In order for them to make more money, they had to.
Wrong. Keith. He was doing that because he said, "I realized I ain't gonna get a fifth ring, so technically this is my fifth ring right here."
Yeah,
That's what it was all
bullshit.
about.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think again, anybody who gets in the sport and realize there's more to it. Like one point is that we go back to Anna thing. If one thing, if she has someone like a manager that helps with the financial part of it, I mean that would have helped her in the long run when it goes to who's that? Who's that?
Who's
Hello?
that?
Is that?
Sorry, that was me.
Oh.
Yeah,
That was
that's
me
you.
checking my IG.
You
Sorry about
could have
that.
muted. You could have muted yourself, brother. If you're
I
gonna do that.
forgot. I forgot.
I felt this shit.
But I guess George, the question is, if she has a manager and the manager, because nobody works for free, you know,
Yeah, I
and
know this.
and you got to pay a manager or agent because, like, here's a prime example. My son left Hawaii, went, got an agent. Hawaii was like, we have the most we can give you is $50,000, and he's like, what the fuck? He's like, he got an agent who the agent told us said, I'm the bad guy in this situation. Everything has to run through me, not your dad, not you, through me. So we hired an agent, and now he's at Hampton making $120,000 because the agent's the bad guy. But guess what? He gets 4%. He gets 4% of that deal. So as much as we talk about managers and agents and all this other stuff, they're not working for free.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
They're not
It's
working
like
for free.
it's the same thing with tax time, tax preparers.
Yeah,
I mean, they know all the ins and outs of the tax season. They know all the new tax laws that have come out. They're familiar with all of that. So it's like trying to prepare your own taxes today rather than going through a tax preparer, and they're not cheap. I
no,
mean, if you go to Jackson Hewitt or you go to H&R Block, I mean, it depends. I do mine because mine are so easy and simple because I make
yeah,
next to nothing. But I mean, for other people, if it's more complex, they'll charge an arm and a leg.
yeah,
But make no mistake, you'll get your taxes filed properly.
Yeah.
You'll get it done. So
I used to
Here's a
remember.
crazy idea. Here's a crazy idea. Maybe certain bodybuilders, I'm talking about the pro athletes, the ones with the pro card, maybe they should invest in an agent or a manager. Maybe they should look into that.
with
That can
what?
did you not hear what I
With
said?
hear me out.
what?
Hear me out. Hear me out,
What
pro. Whoa,
what
whoa, whoa,
money
whoa,
do
whoa,
they
whoa,
have to do that
whoa,
with?
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Let him
Hear me
explain
out.
it.
Hear me out.
Let
Hear
me
me out.
explain first, so before you all get
Hear me
into.
out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me
Okay.
out. Hear me out. Hear me out before we jump the gun. Before we jump the gun, as Keith stated, Him and his wife are not, and they're not poor. They're doing well. So if you're an athlete who is doing financially well, and there are agents that you can reach out to, maybe they can put you into different positions, different places that maybe not in the sport of bodybuilding where you can get the bag, because that does happen. Because remember, the agent, if you're not going to pay them out of pocket, whatever gig they get you, they get a percentage of it as well.
like
So
a
you also
lawyer.
remember
Yeah.
that as well. So that does happen. So you don't have to get an agent where they be like, you gotta pay me up front out of pocket. They be agents will be like, okay, whatever gig I get you, I get a percentage, and you just have to agree to that percentage that they're offering. So those are enough. That's there are other opportunities out there that they can look into. Just
Raheem,
saying.
here's the thing that you have to understand. Most of the agents I dealt with in my professional career came to me because they knew that I can make them and I can make they can make me money and I can make myself money. It's like my son that he had three agents. We got rid of the first one and we ended up signing with one guy because they sell you all the fucking bullshit dreams, this that, and other. But at the end of the day, I told him, I said, they're not going to come to you, Cody, unless they know that they've done the analytics and know that you can make yourself, they can make you money and they can make money off of you. That's how this shit works.
But also,
So
I had a question about agents. Now, while they're looking for these other things for you, they're getting paid for by you.
no.
They're not
So
getting paid. So they
it's
do.
like it's
So
like
they
a
do in fact get a percentage of whatever it is that whatever deal you land.
I
That's
mean,
when they
think
make their
about. I
bread
mean,
and butter.
think how
Okay.
many commercials we see on TV where you got these personal injury lawyers. We only get paid if you get paid.
Hmm.
So you're not getting no money from an injury, and if they don't see it worth their while, they're not going to sit here and take you on as a client because they know they're going to make no money. So it's the same thing as an agent. An agent's not going to come up to me and it's like, man, I can really market you, sell you this, that, and the other, and make you some money. They're not guaranteeing you how much money that they're going to make you. But if they don't realize that there's potential in your value, they're not going to have one nothing to do with you. That's just a fact. I just
Yeah.
dealt with that with my son who plays college ball this year.
I
You
think the
know,
one
and,
person.
and, and
Go ahead.
one guy was like, "Yeah, we got this team and this school." I mean, in the NAL money right now, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, Cooper Flag, if he would have stayed at Duke, would have made more money playing at Duke this year, which I think was like $26 million
Duke.
he made. I mean, shit, we had Hunter Dickerson, who left Michigan, who plays at KU where I live, was making a hundred, 750,000, came to KU and they were paying him $1.8 million a season to play basketball. Now, mind you, Najee Kennedy, who plays softball, was at Stanford, who's studying to be a doctor and the best softball player in the world, calling it the Caitlin Clark of softball, just signed her second deal worth $1.3 million to play softball.
Mhm.
But
That's
again,
amazing.
but again, because she's that good, because she's that marketable, what agent's not going to come after her and says, "Let me negotiate this deal with you"? And you know who gave up half that money? Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. And
Five hundred thousand dollars of that money.
I got a question. I got a question to you, gentlemen. I want you to put yourself in the eyes of an agent, right? You
Mm-hmm.
go to the Miss Olympia. Who do you say to yourself, hey, this woman right here can make me money and she's very marketable? Go ahead.
me. I'm going to be prejudiced. I think she has a great look to her, very feminine. She has a great personality. She's already branded by a sponsored brand athlete with Mutant. Just got to put her in a situation where really we can, make her more marketable. Also do interviews with the big, like sports networks like ESPN, being you the current five-time Miss Olympia. Talk about your sport, talk about yourself, your history. Um, used to be a lot of bodies used to go on talk shows. Not that many talk shows anymore, other than, more Povich retired, and there's like a full here and there. Just really, she has a look to her, and just gotta, hit the market. Maybe even try to get it to try some acting, just a study, do some
I,
commercials.
But here's my question: is there such a thing as a bodybuilding agent in the bodybuilding industry in the way that Raheem is describing? Because I have
no,
never heard of one.
No.
no,
I've
because
never heard of
if
one.
you guys ever watch Generation Iron, where God, what's the German guy's name? He was a German giant, and Phil Heath was saying,
Marcus Rule,
not Marcus Rule, shit.
Gunther,
Dennis,
Gunther
Dennis,
Schlinnercap. I forget his last name.
Dennis. I just seen him at the fucking goddamn. I just seen him at the Reno show. Dennis. God dang it, what's his name?
Dennis James.
Not Dennis James. It was another
Dennis
guy.
Wolf.
But anyway,
Dennis Wolf.
Dennis Wolf, yes.
Dennis Wolf.
Dennis
Okay.
Wolf was on Generation Iron. They did a deal where he had got the producers flew a private plane out to go get him, brought him to LA, and and Phil he said it best. Some guys cannot get in front of a camera and talk to save their life, and it was Raheem. If you would have seen it, or if you ever see it, it's the most ridiculous and hinderest converse audition I've ever seen in my life. Because some people just can't. Some people are just not camera friendly or just can't articulate their words on camera. And I think with Arnold, he was one of the rare human beings that can actually get on camera, and Kai Green, to get on camera and actually speak. Now, Tina, prime
Where
example, she's talking to, I mean, she's talked to Steven Spielberg, she's talked to uh, the Iron Man, what's his name, the guy, and all these
oh,
different people. So
Michael
they're
Robert
trying
Downey Jr.
yeah, they're Robert Downey Jr. She's talked to all these guys, so there's a market for her. They're just trying to figure out what that market is for her. But again, she is a person that can speak and articulate the words. And here's the problem that we've been talking about on this show for many, many months now. A lot of these girls are just not personable at all.
Yeah, and the
So if
thing,
you're not personable, no agent, an agent can sell you to the best of their ability. But when you get in that room and you're by yourself, because your agent's not in there with you anymore, you're in there one on one with them. You know, it just doesn't work out because
And and
Oh,
even if
that
they
I want to go off what you said. CAA, they are that's Rahm Emanuel's brother's company. They expand not just for acting but also with athletes. So if they decide to go in the realm of bodybuilding, just say we can go there and sign somebody, they can do that. It's not really CAA is. It's just as an agent, it hits all market acting, sports. Because Stephen A. Smith is signed to CAA, so if they want to, they can go into the realm of bodybuilding and sign that female bodybuilder who has the personality and the charisma. So it's not for CAA. That's not an issue.
but
but
you realize that it's never going to happen. And
the sad thing is,
the reason why it won't
Yeah, I
happen,
know it's not gonna happen.
legality. The reason why, legality. What are so many pro bodybuilders on in the IFBB? Steroids,
But
which happen to be
it.
which happen to be illegal under
Yeah, but
federal
here's the
law.
thing.
So
I get you.
why would you even attempt to go into an area where not only illegal illicit substances are given tacit approval by the
But
majority of the
but
people
we.
involved, but as far as the public are concerned, well, illegality like that, why would you get involved? If I was an agent, I would not touch bodybuilding with a 10-foot pole for that
But
very reason.
they touched Arnold, they touched Lou, they touched the Barbarian Brothers.
well,
We could go on. We can go on with
I have a
this.
pushback with
And,
that.
and on top,
Wait a
I'm
minute.
sorry, I just want to finish one up, Craig. And then on top of that, and this is what I said to you when I first got on the show program. If the substance is such an illegal situation, which it was passed into law in 1991, then how come in 92 and all the way up to the 2000s there was no drug enforcement going to Miss Olympia and shutting it down and arrested everybody? This is the question we have to ask ourselves. If that is such an illegal substance, why isn't the drug enforcement task force is not shutting down these bodybuilding shows where that's very open to the public, where they can get easy access to arrest every athlete they want to?
Wait a minute.
That's what I'm saying. We keep
Well,
saying that situation, but that's not happening.
I'm really
So,
confused. Wait a minute, because I'm really confused. I guess this is a double-edged sword question because I look at the and I know Brock Lesnar personally, and I asked Brock why he walked away from wrestling. It was because of PEDs and the alcohol and the drug abuse. In the Animal, the Road Warriors, a lot of guys I know will say the same thing.
Oops.
Gym that I worked out in, so to call it the gym where you had The Rock, you had, the Road Warriors, you had Rock, you had all these guys working out there, all of them. And then you would walk in the bathroom, and this is before I even knew what the hell was going on. Needles on the floor and everything else. And these are WWE wrestlers. So you can't tell me when you're looking at these fucking giant Hulk Hogan's and all these guys in the world that they weren't doing the same fucking thing. For one, two.
Hogan wasn't doing it. He was saying his prayers, eating his vitamins. So stop, Keith.
But here's the second part of that. When you go to a bodybuilding show, you don't see like I go to a gym and there's needles all, and this is a true story because I'm like, what the fuck is these needles and shit coming from? And they're drinking at the bar instead of drinking protein drinks. They're drinking at the bar. Part of the other question is like the reason why they're shutting these shows down. They're not shutting these shows down because it's not like people are like openly in the public doing this shit. So it's not like I mean, not unless they're gonna go and drug test like the USDA is gonna go and drug test all these guys or whatever the case may be. It's you can do anything in the privacy of your own home, your own hotel. It's not like and this has been going on for years. So it's not like it's in public that it's the persona of which the people look at people and sit there and say because he looks like this, which baffles me because all you guys talk about WWE all the time, but it's the same fucking thing. It's the same thing. You don't think all these guys get huge? I know Raheem said the vitamins and all this bullshit, but you don't think that these guys are? I know for a fact that that's bullshit because I was in the gym of nothing but WWE wrestling guys, Sables, the Brocks, the Animal, the Road Warriors. All these guys rolled through the same gym. It was called the gym in Plymouth, Minnesota, and we're all using gear. And so my question is, if you're going to scrutinize bodybuilding, why aren't you scrutinizing the W whatever
But
whatever?
they were scrutinized WWE, WWF. But here's the thing, I don't think anybody who went to see an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie in the 80s and 90s was sitting down there during the whole hour say, "Yeah, I think he's on steroids." It was
Yeah, I
common
agree.
knowledge.
Agree
But
with
but
100%.
the thing was, people. The difference about people back then and now is that people were new, but they was like, okay, that's his life. He chose that. When the female bodybuilders, like George said, went on to these talk shows like Donahue, all that, those people that talk to them, they said, I think a woman said, it was back in the 80s, she said, I commend you ladies for doing what you do, but I can't do this, but I commend you. So there weren't people back, these were normal people on talk shows talking about telling these athletes. So there weren't people as today going on being keyboard warriors and trolls and say, "Oh, you look like a man," then want to DM these ladies dick pics. You get what I'm saying? So it's just today people are screwed up. You know, I
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
I
Social
tell
media
female
has ruined
bodybuilders
our
this:
world.
this is the if this is the sport you chose, stand on it. Don't let people put you down. You chose this. This is your passion. If you want to be big, this is what you chose. You made the decision. So keep your head held high. This is the sport you love. Go for it. This is gonna be